Hello and welcome to episode 31 of the world's first Paul Weller fan podcast. I'm Dan Jennings, and 10 years ago I gave up my life dream and career as a radio presenter with one big regret: never getting to interview my hero, the legendary British musician Paul Weller. This podcast exists purely to solve that issue. Welcome to Desperately Seeking Paul. This week, we head across the English Channel to France with our vaccination passport at the ready to chat to the lovely Christophe Vaillant, the man behind the fabulous music of Le SuperHomard. In early 2019, his debut album Meadow Lane Park was not only dreamlike and enchanting, but the critics loved it. And if you read any interview with Paul Weller from around that time, he seemed to be raving about it too. So much so that he invited Le SuperHomard to open for him on the European tour that was sadly postponed. Plus, Christophe incredibly got to remix one of the tunes for the On Sunset Remix EP last year. So let's get into it. Hey, Christophe.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Where in the world do we find you right now?
I'm based in the south of France, Avignon. I don't know if you know the song. It's a famous song all over the world called Sur le Pont d'Avignon. It's a town in the south of France.
My folks used to live in Limoges, so I know that bit of France quite well.
It's a bit far away from me, but it's approximately the south of France.
It's in France, that much I know. So this is the Paul Weller fan podcast, and I'm really excited about getting into some of this stuff with you because you're a huge Paul Weller fan, right?
Yeah. Since I think I started to listen to the jam when I was a teenager. I was into the mod thing and the mod movement since I am approximately 17. I think I first heard about the jam when I was 13. I think there were all the boys at the school that were with parkas and scooters, and all of them had the badges from the jam, and I wanted to know what was it. And so I started to listen to the jam around 15 something, and I started to be a mod around 16.
We've not talked a huge amount about being a mod on this podcast yet, which seems strange given this is a Paul Weller fan podcast. Yeah. What does that mean for you? Because I guess everybody interprets that in different ways. And I'd have a conversation with Paul and it will be a very different thing to what I have with you. But for you, what does being a mod mean?
There was a lot of mods in my town. It was the end of the 80s, so it was not the real mod revival. It was bit later, and there was a lot of mods in my town. I was really impressed by their look, their scooter, and I didn't know a lot about the music at this time because I was very, very young. I met mods older than me when I was 15, around this. I started to listen to the jam, Small Faces, and soul, and everything psychedelic, and a lot of music. And for me, being a mod was more because of the music. There was a side, the gang and the fights, and I wasn't the fights. There was a lot of fights in my town. I was more interested in music than fighting.
I'm a lover, not a fighter, as Michael Jackson and Paul McCartney once said. Did you have the scooter?
Yeah, I still have it now. I have an old Vespa from the 60s. Yeah, orange.
Oh, really? An orange Vespa? Wow. My mum said if I ever got any kind of motorbike of any description, scooter or otherwise, she'd slash the tyres. And that's never changed. So I still listen to my mum and pay attention. And music-wise, so you're into the jam, but you're also really into like 60s pop as well. Is that right?
Yeah. I listen a lot of 60s music and Small Faces, but a lot of psychedelic music and a lot of bands from the 60s, Kings, Who, more obscure music than this. When I was around 20 years old, I started to listen a lot of Baroque pop music, with strings and like Left Bank and Zombies and all this thing. And I'm still into this.
So many things of what you're talking about. I've read interviews with Paul where he's talking about those influences, those bands as well. So automatically it seems that there's this connection between the two of you.
It's not only the mod thing. I think we are into the same kind of music, but I'm really into sound music, but less than him, I think, because he's a really specialist.
I don't know how he finds time to do anything else. The amount of music he's always recommended, you think all he must do all day long is just listen to music. It's incredible. Just consuming that constantly is amazing. When we focus on the jam, what were the songs that stood out for you?
My favorite song from the jam is Beat Surrender.
Ah, the final one, the swan song.
Because it's mixed the early jam and style council, so it's my favorite one. When he started the style council, I was too young because when the jam broke up, I think I was 10, I never saw them live, or I never saw Paul Weller live, I never saw him.
Ever, at any point? Ever, still now? Wow.
Yeah. He's not playing a lot in France, and I never had the chance to catch him on a festival, or I never saw him. Not the jam, not Second City.
And so Paul Weller solo was something you were into, presumably. At which point did you start discovering that music?
I remember when we were younger with my friends, we were going to a club. It was a time where Paul released the Paul Weller movement. Into Tomorrow and we were dancing on it, and since this... we are a big fan, and all my friends are big Paul Weller fans, a lot of my friends. And at which point did you decide that you wanted to start getting into music and producing and making music yourself? Well, I started to play around 17, I think, in various mod bands. So I had a mod band with my friends, my brother, and we started to play in France. And quickly we went to mod rallies, in UK, in France, in Germany, in Spain. We toured a lot in Europe, but it was a very small band. It was very obscure. I started to do music more professionally very recently, because I was working, I had children, life goes, and I started to play music professionally since 5 years, I think. Wow. Before that, I was doing many things, but I had a job. A real job. A proper job. But I started to concentrate only on music since 4 years, I think. I mean, and what a success it's been. So tell me about Le SuperHomard, because I thought this was like a band and there'd be, you and your mates, but it's really you. Yeah, you're the kind of the captain of this thing. Yeah. Before Le SuperHomard, I was in a band called Paul Me Taylor. I was a singer and guitarist with my friends, and we were doing a lot of gigs, but it was more for fun, It was in 5 years ago, I think. All my friends had babies at the same time. So everybody stopped to play, and I was alone. And so I started to do music alone. And I did a small EP, 8 songs. It was more electronic than what I was doing before. And it was released very quickly on a Japanese label called Rally. This is Maple Key. Would this be Maple Key? Yeah? Yeah, okay. Yeah. I didn't want to sing the song myself because I hate my voice and I hate my English accent. Right. I asked a friend of mine, she was called Pandora Burgess. She's English, and she sang half of the songs on the first EP. And after that, the EP was released in UK, in USA, and France. And just after that, I started to gig. A lot of people asked me to do some gigs, so I started a band with me because I was alone. So I asked people from my area to come with me and to play. And we did a lot of gigs. And just after that, I signed a deal with Elephant Records, quite big label in Spain. They asked me to keep the band with me because it was more easier for them. We released the album called Middle Lane Park with the band, but I was doing music alone, That's when Paul and me connected, when we released this album. Meadow Lane Park, this wonderful album. In a way, you're kind of mirroring Paul's style council because you're the man in the center of this thing, but you have these honorary counselors, if you like, who are coming in and being like temporary members of this band, the setup there by the sounds of things. And you're right, it gets incredible reviews. It does amazingly well. And Paul was a massive fan. So, and I saw like loads of interviews at the time. That's how I discovered the
album was from Paul Weller. You know, reading interviews at the time, him recommending it would have been Q magazine back in the day when it existed here in the UK, I'd imagine. At which point did you hear that this guy, Paul Weller, is a fan of the album? Can you remember?
I remember the first time it was I know Andy Croft, for a bass player, since I know Andy since the really beginning of his band, The Moons, because I was a big fan of The Moons, and we were connected together. And one day, Andy told me that I gave your album to Paul and he likes it. Before the album, we released an EP. I remember I was at home and a friend of mine told me, did you see UNCUT magazine? No. And there is a Paul Weller playlist, best of the year. It was 3 years ago, I think. And you are in this playlist. Oh, no, unbelievable. Okay. And quickly after that, Andy told me, yeah, Paul is a big fan of your music. I was very surprised. And, it was incredible for me, And after that, Paul invited us to play with him, and he asked me to do a remix of this of a song of him, and he invited my ex-singer to sing on his album.
It's Julie Big, is that right?
Yeah.
So Julie Big, one of the singers on Meadow Lane Park with you, right? Works on More on the On Sunset album. At which point do you get invited to or asked to do that? I'm going to get it, actually. It's up here. 2 seconds. Oh, God, I'm going to knock everything off. This beautiful thing here. Here we are. I know it's a podcast, but I have to get this. This lovely thing here, right? Look at this. This is the vinyl On Sunset, the remixes, limited edition remixes from the #1 album On Sunset. And you're there, side B, On Sunset, the SUPERHOMARD remix. How did this come about?
It was incredible to do it. So I received a message from, I think it was Andy Croft, and he told me, Paul wants a remix from you. So, okay, I will give him your number, okay? And I received some message from Paul, and we are chatting, and okay. I will do it if you want.
How much, Paul? Come on.
How much before? And I received the separate tracks from the song, and the pressure was really big for me, And it was the early stages of the pandemic, I think. So I did it really quickly, but and I remember the best moment. It was when I finished it. I sent a message to Paul, and here is a link to listen to it, and me. And he told me, I love it. So, and
had you heard the original track at this point? Had you heard the original On Sunset? And was that album out? So was that album out in the shops? The
album wasn't out, I think, but I had it before because Paul has already sent it to me. I chose the song. He asked me, what song do you want to remix? And I told this one because I had an idea.
On Sunset. Wow. I mean, it's a lovely track. The original is a lovely track, but I love what you've done with it as well. So how does it work? So he sends through all the separate files. So he sends through like his vocal track. He sends through the violins.
I asked him to send me the vocals and the strings and the Moog part, was because Andy Croft is playing the Moog on the song, and I wanted to add Andy's on the song because it was because of him. I only kept the strings and the voice in the baby's Moog part.
I do love a remix album, I have to say, and Paul's done this quite a bit in recent years in terms of like extra tracks on albums, and if you buy the deluxe, you get the remixes and things. And it's just, I think I find it fascinating how somebody like yourself there can kind of take these elements and build something that sounds completely different. It sounds like a completely different track in a way. So it's remarkable. My way
of doing remix, I did another one at the same time. I did another one for The Moons.
Yeah, you did The Moons, right? Yeah.
And I did exactly the same. I only kept Andy's voice and the drums, I think. And I did another song with, they had this remix on their amazing last album, on the CD version, I think.
Yeah, Pocket Melodies is a great piece of work from Andy and the Moons. And I'm hoping Andy will come on one day, fingers crossed, on the podcast as well. You can put in a word for me, Christophe. Do you get any brief at all from Paul in terms of you need to do this, or I want you to, or is it just completely like do what you want, have a play around?
I remember that Andy told me, do what you want and do what you do your job.
Yeah, yeah.
He just wanted to be surprised, I think.
And did he give you any feedback? Did he go, "Oh yeah, can you tweak this bit"? No, it's exactly.
I sent him same version that you heard, and he said to me, "Yeah, fantastic, I love it." So
wow, that's incredible. One hit done, boom. And so at the minute, all the conversations that you've had with Paul, you've not met face to face. It's all been over emails and text messaging, yeah?
No. I just answer to his messages. I never try to send him. If I have something to ask, I ask to his manager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It must be very tempting once you've got his number in your phone to just be like, "Hey, Paul, how's it going?"
Yeah. But I would never call him.
Yeah, you're very professional. At this point, also he invited the SuperHomard to be on the entire European tour with him as well.
Yeah.
The European tour that's been postponed about 4 or 5 times now, I think, and is now next year. So we don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, that must have been really cool for you as well. You'd have actually got to see Paul live.
Yeah. But I don't know if it will happen because I don't have the same band. Everything has changed because I don't know if it would be possible for my agent. I have a new band. I have a new label. I don't know if Paul will love the new album. It's very different. So
yeah, it's very different, isn't it? So let's get into that. So now this new iteration of the band, you're on to the next step. And I love this, it's very Weller in a way as well. And I'm guessing it's also the mod attitude of always moving forward, always pushing on to the next things. Yeah. You've binned that off. We're on to the next thing. And you're working with this guy, Maxwell Farrington. And tell me about Maxwell. How did you meet and what does he bring to the party?
I met him at a festival in Paris, the Mama Festival. It's a more professional festival like Great Escape in the UK. And we were playing in the same venue. He's a singer in a band called De Ver. It's a very noisy band,
Really?
He was playing just before us. So the band is a really good band, but it's very. And when he was doing his sound check, Maxwell started to sing. I don't remember the song, but it was a song from Burt Bacharach.
Burt Bacharach, yeah, okay.
And I was really impressed by his voice. So after the gig, we connected together, had a drink, and started to speak. And we discovered that we had the same taste in music. And we said, let's do a song together. A few months after that, we started to play, to do some covers together. And just after that, we started to do an album because everything was going well between us, and we signed a deal with another label, and we have a new album out in a few months.
When this podcast goes live, we'll be days away from the release of this new album once. And already I've read, there's comparisons definitely with Maxwell's kind of voice. It's very, Scott Walker I've read as a kind of inspiration or the sound. Lee Hazelwood's another one. Even the single, We, Us, the Pharaohs, a bit of divine comedy in there for me as well.
Yeah. We are big fans of mainly Scott Walker and Lee Hazelwood, Divine Comedy, we love it too.
Yeah, I love it. It's great. But it's so different from from the last LP.
Yeah. Because there is less electronic things. I just received a message because Iggy Pop, will play 2 songs from the album tonight on BBC 6 on his show. So he's a big fan of the new album.
Iggy Pop's going to play them. Wow, that's incredible. Yeah. Who did you get that message from? Not Iggy.
No. But we have the same agent in France, My booking agent is Iggy Pop booking agent. So,
cool. Oh, fabulous. So well done. I love it. And so no word as yet from Mr. Weller in terms of whether he likes the new stuff?
No. I'm waiting to receive some vinyl, and I will send him a copy when I will have it.
And is the plan then when we get back to some kind of normality, to take that out on the road?
We already have a band. We started to play. We did one private gig in the venue but a residency. I don't know the term in English, but we have a really good band with us, so we can. Cool. We are ready to play it as soon as we can, because I think the first feedback from the press in France are really, really good. So I don't know in England. I know that we have a good review in Mojo, the next Mojo. magazine.
So for Paul in lockdown, it was very productive in the same way as it has been for you. He's got a new album that's out 14th of May. Have you heard any of the new stuff? And if so, what do you think?
I heard the new song this morning. It's a really good album. I think I only heard 2 songs. The one from Aujourd'hui, Shade of Blue. No.
Shades of Blue, yeah, that's the one that he's done with Leah, his daughter, yeah.
Cosmic Fringes,
yeah.
I only heard these 2 songs.
Sometimes you just want to wait for the finished album. You want that day when it comes in the post and you can unwrap it and put it on and hear it for the first time. Whereas these days, so the singles market is very different to how it was. So actually, there's this kind of drip feed of the album comes through. So by the time it actually lands, you've heard quite a lot of it and not in the same context. So for me, I've heard bits of Shades of Blue, but actually I parked it and went, do you know what? I want to wait now. Because I've heard 2 tracks. I've heard Glad Times is the other one I've heard from the album. I want to wait. I want to hear the whole thing in one go.
For me, it's the same. I prefer to sit down and listen to the whole things together because But it's my job to listen to to music. So. But I can't wait to hear it. Yeah.
Christophe, this has been such a joy. I have 2 final questions for you. One is you're allowed one Paul Weller song for the rest of your life. It can be The Jam, The Style Council, or solo. Which one is it going to be?
One song?
One song.
It's probably one from the Style Council, Shout to the Top.
Oh, wow.
Because it means a lot for me.
What memories does that song evoke? What does that bring back to you?
It's more a moment of my life, when I was listening to this song a lot. A happy moment of my life. So, yeah, it means a lot for me because
you're getting all coy on me. This is obviously there's a special memory here, I'm sure. Then obviously, he's like, mind your own business. It's a special private memory, Dan. Shut up. And final question: the purpose of this podcast is to be able to secure an interview with Paul. The interview and meeting with Paul that I never managed in my radio broadcast career. What should I talk to him about? What should I ask him?
How does it feel to be God?
How does it feel to be God?
Something like this.
That is a brilliant question. Brilliant. Christophe, I've loved every second of this. Thank you, man. Good luck with the new album. I can't wait to hear it. And I'm going to wait till release day. I'm having no more sneak previews, but I love what I've heard so far. It's brilliant. Just good luck with it. And look, I hope to see you on the festival circuit. I hope to see you in the UK gigging in 2021 or beyond.
I can't wait. I hope to come and play in the UK. I don't know when it would be possible, but I really hope to come back in the UK very soon. I don't know if I will open for him or not, but I plan to see him somewhere in Paris or in Bruxelles or something.
My thanks once again to Christophe Le SuperHomard. That latest album is out any day now. On my next episode, I can't quite believe I'm saying this either, I am joined by the mighty Chris Difford, legendary lyricist and all-round musical legend with the fabulous Squeeze. Chris has some fabulous Paul Weller-related tales from the early days on the music scene, and Paul even recorded a solo album at Chris's studio Heliocentric. Heck, he even named the album after it too. Don't forget to share this episode on social media, leave a review wherever you get your podcasts. It really does help us to find new listeners to the show. You can find me on Twitter @WellerFanPod or on Facebook and Instagram. It's Paul Weller Fan Podcast. I'll see you next time.